My sister, 30, is engaged to a guy, 33, let's call him Josh. Josh is a very well-established guy, very nice to my sister and our family, does a lot for us. Josh and my sister announced their engagement a couple of months ago at a family dinner. Obviously, everyone celebrates at the news and has a great night. Except for me. I took my sister aside later in the night and asked her if she had told him about her past. My sister went through an extremely love-positive phase in college and slept with easily over 100 guys, we're twins by the way, so always been close. She said it didn't matter, it was the past, etc. Fair enough, it shouldn't matter, but I think Josh deserves to know this before he marries my sister. Not every man is comfortable with marrying someone with such an extensive list of past partners. So anyway, I tell her if she doesn't tell him, I will. I give her a month. She doesn't tell him. Meanwhile, they're going full steam ahead planning the wedding. I give her one last chance, a few more weeks to come clean, she doesn't. So, I told Josh all I knew about her making love past. He thanks me, but doesn't take the news well. Apparently, my sister has been presenting herself as a lovely shy kind of girl. Edit. She lied and said he was her third partner. Completely blindsided him. He's put the wedding on hold and hasn't spoken to my sister for several days. Says he needs time alone to think. As you can imagine, everyone in my family is blaming me for ruining my sister's wedding. I guess I kind of did. Josh's family is kind of neutral, though they're obviously offering Josh emotional support and thanking me for my honesty. Am I the idiot? You're the idiot. Big time. You just catapulted yourself into someone else's relationship. If your sister didn't want to tell this Josh guy her past, that's on her and up to her. It was the past, it's in the past. If she isn't like that now, it really shouldn't matter to him, or you. Plus, it sounds like your sister has finally found someone that she wants to be with. You have jeopardized that. You have put the happiness of two people at risk for I don't know what. What was your end here? To give Josh the full picture. Not your responsibility. You're the idiot. Reading between the lines here, I think by well-established you mean rich, and you're jealous, and put out that the terrible twin bagged the richer guy, while Miss Goody Two-Shoes got Joe Average. It was a huge breach of the sibling, or a friend or girl code to essentially out your sister like that, especially since she's your twin. I wouldn't blame her for never speaking to you again. It's none of your business what your sister may or may not have done in college, that was her decision to make whether to be open about that. Not the idiot. If the news blindsided him so much that he hasn't spoken to her in days, then clearly there are some issues. Partners shouldn't have secrets from one another. That she hadn't already discussed her past with him, don't you care about personal growth history, then before marriage would certainly be a good time. You gave her a chance. She skipped the boat and hoped to call your bluff. You didn't bluff. He wasn't happy. She freaked the pooch, not you. Husband hopeful is thankful, deceitful sister is not. Hard to be angry about telling the truth when someone wants to hide it. For the past month, my 24-year-old niece has been living with us. I'll call her Princess because that's what her parents call her most of the time. She is a medical researcher, studied medicine but wasn't interested in the practical side of things, more interested in the theoretical, and took up a position near where we live, and my sister convinced me to let her stay so she can save money. I was apprehensive because I know this girl has been coddled and babied since she was little. We have a 4-bedroom house. Me and my husband, my son, 16, my daughter, 21, and our 4-year-old Rottweiler Freddy. I told sister that Princess would have to sleep on the sofa in the living room, which she seemed okay with, but when she arrived both mother and daughter said about trying to convince me to clear out the dog's room and let her sleep in it. Princess even said it would be okay to make him sleep outside because it's just a dog. It's getting a lot colder now and I'd never let Freddy sleep outside. I told Princess that this is where she'd sleep, take it or leave it, and she was, and still is really sulky about it, sulking about how we think a dog is more important than her. In all honesty, I was right in thinking having Princess stay is more trouble than it's worth. She goes out clubbing and partying a lot and makes no effort to keep the noise down when she comes home in the early hours of the morning. Since she's arrived, the living room smells weird, and that smell definitely wasn't there before she came. She's also rude to my kids. My daughter got engaged, and we were all delighted, but Princess was lovely enough to say that if her boyfriend had gotten her a cheap ring like that, she wouldn't even get out of bed for the wedding. Daughter was in tears because of this, and both husband and I had a word with Princess, who then cried and phoned up her mother saying we were rude to her. Had another phone call with sister today and she still tried to convince me to put her daughter in the dog's room. I made clear this wasn't happening and sister got upset with me saying how nasty it was to value pets over family. I also said that her daughter was skating thin ice and that I wouldn't tolerate her behavior for much longer. Sister was very offended and said we should be happy to have her daughter there. Sorry, but how can I be happy to have a spoiled overgrown child who keeps trying to steal a room from a dog in my home? You're the idiot. I have had dogs most of my life and they are content sleeping on the couch. I can tell your niece is a brat, but I can also tell you probably are too. If I was under the impression that you only had a couch available and then showed up to find that there was a whole room being used for just a dog and would stay that way, I'd be upset and feel disrespected. I'm saying this as a fellow homeowner with kids. It also seems like you were very aware that your niece had a personality problem and chose to let her live with you anyways. If she offends you after that, you brought that on yourself. You are the idiot. You complain about your sister spoiling her human child, but your dog gets a whole room to himself that you absolutely refuse to give up. Right, because dogs eat so much privacy. You tell her she has to sleep living space, and then you get mad when she acts like it's her bedroom. You treat her like it's such a huge imposition to have her there, then wonder why she doesn't bend over backwards with gratitude. Why did you even agree to let her stay there? You're the idiot. So much so. Only an idiot paints such an idiot depiction of a clearly average 24-year-old girl who you won't even give a bed to host. Good on her for being a medical researcher over an influencer or marketer despite having all opportunities handed to her, and shame on you for thinking she deserves less comfort than the dog. What do you do with your life? This post reeks of toxic envy and jealousy. I feel bad for that poor girl having to put up with such entitled hosts. Maybe listen to your sister who seems to have some basic standards. My 24 bridesmaid cousin, Ella, 26, is to be in my wedding party in June. The ongoing issue is that my wedding has a blue and green peacock theme and guests have been asked to follow this color scheme with their clothes. Hair wasn't originally included at all in the color scheme, but my cousin Ella has natural bright ginger hair. I would never ask someone to permanently change their hair for my wedding. I know that would be bonkers, so I suggested some temporary hair dye, but Ella argued that she has been growing her hair for 6 years and doesn't want to risk the color not washing out. I thought this was ridiculous because it literally says washes out in like 14 washes. But Ella says because her hair is completely natural color, it might take strongly to her hair. So I gave up on that avenue and suggested a wig. It is one day, one single day, and there are some amazing wigs these days. I had a look on Instagram and you wouldn't even be able to tell. But she said she would feel self-conscious and weird wearing a wig, and that because her hair is butt length that it might sit weird on her head. So she won't dye it and won't cover it up. I really don't want to come across as a bridezilla, but butt-length flaming red hair will destroy the wedding photos and ruin the color scheme completely. I'm at a loss. I can't cut her from the wedding because my mom would murder me, but I can't have freaking Merida ruining the photos. Am I the idiot for asking this of her for just one single day? I now have to deal with my mom and aunt chewing me out over it all. You're the idiot. The fact that you can't even slightly understand that what you're asking is so insane and rude and bonkers is mind-blowing. It's actually frightening that you are so obsessed with this girl's natural and gorgeous hair, and you can't even accept your cousin for who she is because it will ruin your wedding photos, in your opinion, is telling as to what kind of unstable person you are. I'm having so much second-hand embarrassment for you. I hope you come to your senses. You're the idiot. The whole this is her natural hair color, so screw you thing aside, I've actually seen people get stuck with green or blue tinged hair because they use temporary dye like that and it freaked up their hair. Not to mention, without bleach, no color is going to change vibrant red hair enough. It'll just end up looking like a weird gross mess. As for the wig, she's right. It won't sit on her head right if her hair is that long. Just leave it up. I guarantee you that no one will think her hair clashes except you. You're the idiot. You have absolutely 100,000% zero right to dictate someone's hair color even for your wedding. You have turned into the bridezilla you didn't want to become, especially by trying to insult your cousin, though if you called me Merida as an insult, I would laugh in your face and say thanks. Get over yourself. You're acting like a brat over someone's natural hair color. You need to apologize to your cousin within a minute of reading this comment. It's the only way you can save face at this point for having the audacity to ask her to dye her hair. I have a wife, Wilhelma, 40, and 2 sons, Sam, 17, and Scott, 16. 6 years ago, I ran to the gas station to buy some cigarettes. Instead of abandoning my family, just a joke, I decided to also buy a lottery ticket for everyone, just for fun. It was a blast. We all talked all night about what we would do with our winnings, where we would go, etc. I mean, this was all fantasy anyway, right? But I specifically told my kids that they would have to share their winnings and they would have to put it away for college first and foremost. Well, wouldn't you know it, Sam's ticket won. Of course, it's actually my ticket and I had to claim it. It didn't win the jackpot, but after taxes, we walked away with $60,000. I sat them both down and explained that I was going to save it all for college, but we could celebrate, splurge, a little. They absolutely wanted a gaming system, and Wilhelma insisted on a family vacation that was much needed. We all agreed on this, and saving the rest. I bought the gaming system and a bunch of games for about $1,000. Wilhelma took over the vacation and insisted on a Disney World trip. The boys don't even like Disney, but it was always Wilhelma's dream to go, so we went. Another $5,000. Last year, Sam wanted a car. Wilhelma was pretty tired of chauffeuring them around anyway, so I agreed and spent his $4,000 on a car. I pay the insurance, registration, and maintenance under the agreement that he takes over driving Scott to his stuff as well. Wilhelma had no complaints about any of these purchases. Since day one, I've actually invested the entire winnings and never dipped into it. I've always spent my own money on all the stuff. I have invested better than average, and that $60,000 is now $100,000. Wilhelma knows I have always invested our money, but it was always small amounts since we're poor. She knows I was investing the lottery winnings as well. I've always told her about the money doing well, but I guess I never explicitly said how well. She also has never asked, as she has left our finances completely up to me. Sam is starting college in a few weeks, and we figured out a plan to stretch his $30,000 over the 4 years. While looking at the portfolio, Wilhelma noticed it was at $100,000 and asked how. I told her I invested the $60,000 and grew it to $100,000. She then asked why we're only giving Sam $30,000 when it should be $50,000. I said no, the other $40,000 is mine. I managed this account, I made the investments, I did all of the work. Plus I paid for all that other stuff through our other savings. The $40,000 stays, and I'll keep investing it. If the boys need the money, it's there, but if not, I'm gonna eventually retire a little early with it. She thinks I'm stealing his money, since I wouldn't have been able to invest with it if I didn't have it to begin with. I say it's always kinda been my money, and I'm still giving him the $30,000 I promised him since the beginning. You're the idiot. So yes, legally it's your money. But you gave that ticket to your son with a couple stipulations. That's fair. Obviously, you made some good investment decisions to allow it to grow, but it would be unfair of you to take that money out to have an early retirement without asking your son. Your son believes that's his money. And instead of using his money to pay for the car and vacation, etc., which you told him you would do, you decided to use your own money. He followed your agreement and you did not. I would explain the situation to him. You're the idiot who starts a college fund and then keeps the interest to themselves. Especially with how sneaky you were with the money, it's clear your perspective is an extremely selfish one. Also, back to the very first point, you said you bought tickets for each of your family members, then presented them as gifts. In what other context would it be okay to take back a gift that you had already given once you realized it was worth more? As I see it, none without you becoming the idiot along the way. You're the idiot. Legally the money is yours, but legality isn't morality. You decided to invest money for your son at an age where he couldn't have handled it to begin with, and you took that on yourself, which means it's something you did for your son. You weren't forced to watch over it, and you invested it for profit, which is crappy because it's still not your money, it's your son's, and you had everyone operating under the idea it was his. I'm not saying throw all the money at him, but it's crappy to profit off of something that's your child's. My 46 daughter, 18, has been making reckless decisions and overall hasn't focused on school and anything important for the past few years. I've lashed out at her a few times, but overall tolerated her behavior because she is my daughter and I love her. However, she just never learns. Apparently, she got her nipples pierced on her 18th birthday, almost a year ago, without asking my wife or me or without even mentioning something. My wife and I found out this morning when my wife accidentally saw them while our daughter was showering. We confronted her on lunch and told her that it was a very stupid thing to do. I told her I can accept piercings on the ears and maybe even on the nose because they're somewhat pretty, but the ones on the nipples are ugly and overall dangerous to get due to infections. She's been like that for a while and even got tattoos when she was 17, very small ones, without permission, because she told us if we don't let her get them now she will just get them once she is 18. I guess that once she turned 18, she's even more determined to mess with us and keep rebelling or whatever she's doing. She didn't say much during the whole argument except tell us that she knows the dangers that come with having these piercings, which I think is BS based on her reaction when I mentioned that. In the end, I told her that, since she has no respect for me or my wife, once she graduates, which is this year, she has to leave. My wife agreed with me, however, my son, 13, says it's too harsh of a punishment. Am I the idiot here? Edit. Her mother saw the piercings because she needed something from the bathroom. My daughter handed it to her, and that is when my wife saw the piercings. I think the issue is deeper than piercings here. I think you think because she is your kid, you can control her. You still think she is a baby. You don't think you should respect her because she's a kid and has to respect you. Her failing classes is deeper than the anxiety of being called upon. I feel like she may be suffering with anxiety and trauma. You seem to be a controlling parent. A parent who doesn't let their kid have their own views. You are the idiot. I find it very alarming how you are so quick to be willing to kick your own child out of your house over something as silly as piercing. For the majority of the time, you don't even see the piercing itself. She's old enough to make her own decisions, and is the piercing itself physically harming you in any way? Of course not. I find it appalling that you'd even consider doing this to your child. I hope you realize that it's her body and her life, it's her say at the end of the day, not yours. At 18, they are old enough to make their decisions of that nature. Piercings and tattoos don't define the person, it's a form of expression. I'd say you guys are being overbearing, not total idiots as you're concerned for her, and as a parent, I get it, but if she were 13, that would be a different story. At 18, she's old enough to decide for herself, and also to take care of it herself should anything happen, infection. By the way, as a person who also has multiple piercings, it's no less risk of any other piercing someplace else.